The Federation war fleet jumped into Earth's solar system like a swarm of angry metal insects. 3,000 ships appeared in formation, their weapons already charging for the attack. Supreme General Vorthik stood on the bridge of his flagship, the destroyer of worlds, watching Earth grow larger on his screens. "Begin the bombardment," he ordered. "I want that planet turned to dust within the hour." But as the first energy beams lanced toward Earth, something unexpected happened. The space around the planet erupted with defensive fire. Human ships appeared from behind asteroids, from the shadows of moons, and from hidden positions throughout the solar system. Admiral Frank Reyes commanded the Earth Defense Fleet from his flagship, the Constitution. He was a calm man who had spent his career studying military history. He knew that Earth's 800 ships were badly outnumbered, but he also knew something the Federation didn't. "All units, execute Plan Tornado," he transmitted. The human ships moved like they were performing a deadly dance. They struck fast at the edges of the Federation formation, then disappeared before the aliens could respond. They used the gravity of planets and moons to slingshot past enemy vessels, firing as they went. "What are they doing?" demanded Colonel Seth Carr. "This isn't how space battles are supposed to work." Vorthik watched in growing confusion as his ordered formations began to break apart. The humans weren't fighting like civilized species did. They didn't form neat lines and trade shots. Instead, they moved like pack hunters, striking weak points and vanishing before counterattacks could hit them. Captain Steve Johnson led a squadron of human destroyers in a daring attack on the Federation flagship. His ship, the Ranger, Dove, through a gap in the enemy formation, with 5 other vessels following close behind. "Sir, we're outnumbered 50 to 1, warned his tactical officer. "Then we better make every shot count," Steve replied. They targeted the flagship's communication arrays and weapon control systems. Instead of trying to destroy the massive ship, they disabled its ability to coordinate the battle. Within minutes, the destroyer of worlds was firing blind while its commander screamed orders that no one could hear. But the real surprise came when other ships began arriving to help Earth. The first were vessels from the Kethmi, Dr. L. Theras. People. Their ships were built to survive the constant storms of their home world, making them incredibly tough. "This is Admiral Keth Sol of the Liberation Fleet," came a transmission. "We stand with our human allies." Behind the Kethmi came ships from 16 other Deathworld species. The Korvaxi brought vessels that could punch through any armor. The Zephyrians flew fighters that moved like living lightning. The Zentar contributed ships that could become invisible to sensors. Colonel Patricia Williams coordinated the defense from a command center deep under the Rocky Mountains. She had been working for months to contact oppressed species throughout Federation space, building a network of rebels who were ready to fight for their freedom. "All Liberation forces, this is command," she transmitted. "Execute coordinated strike. Pattern Alpha. Show them what Deathworlders can really do." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Federation ships that had dominated space for centuries found themselves outfought by beings they had considered primitives. Every tactical manual they had studied became useless against enemies who fought with creativity instead of rigid doctrine. General Michelle Adams led the ground assault when Federation Marines tried to land on Earth's surface. The aliens expected to face desperate defenders who would break under pressure. Instead, they found soldiers who had trained in Earth's harshest environments and knew how to turn any terrain into a weapon. "They're everywhere," screamed a Federation trooper as human rangers appeared from hidden positions in the forest. The aliens had landed in what they thought was empty wilderness. They didn't know that humans could live and fight in places that would kill most other species. The turning point came when Captain Paul Thompson captured War Minister Drexmull himself. The Federation leader's command ship had been disabled by human fighters, and his escape pod landed in the Australian outback. Paul found Drexel 6 hours later, barely alive after exposure to Earth's deadly environment. The alien was suffering from dehydration and heat exhaustion after walking less than 5 miles in conditions that Paul considered pleasantly warm. "Please," Drexel gasped, "don't let this planet kill me." Paul gave him water and medical aid. "Earth's not trying to kill you. You just don't know how to live here." When Supreme General Vorthik realized his war minister had been captured and his fleet was being systematically destroyed, he finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. The Deathworlders weren't just strong. They were brilliant tacticians who had learned warfare from the harshest teacher in the galaxy. "I surrender," he transmitted on all frequencies. "Federation forces cease fire immediately. We surrender." The aftermath of the battle transformed the galaxy forever. Admiral Frank Reyes could have executed the Federation leaders or demanded their worlds as payment for the unprovoked attack. Instead, he offered something no one expected: mercy and partnership. "We don't want to rule you," he told the assembled Federation commanders. "We want to work with you to build something better." General Michelle Adams accepted the formal surrender in a ceremony aboard the Constitution. Representatives from dozens of species watched as she offered amnesty to Federation military personnel who were willing to join the new alliance. "This war doesn't have to define our future," she said. "We can choose cooperation over conquest." Progressive Council member Yelmyra wept with relief as she signed the treaty establishing the Terran Galactic Alliance. The document guaranteed equal rights for all species, regardless of their home world or physical capabilities. "For centuries, we told ourselves that some beings were naturally superior to others," she said. "Today we admit that we were wrong, and we commit to doing better." Captain Julie Green was chosen to command the first joint exploration mission under the new alliance. Her ship, the Horizon, carried crews from 37 different species as they set out to explore the galaxy's unexplored regions. "Our mission is simple," she told her diverse crew. "We're looking for civilizations that might have been overlooked or underestimated. Every species deserves a chance to show what they can do." The final scene of humanity's entry into galactic civilization took place on New Geneva Station, a massive space habitat built cooperatively by humans and aliens. In the station school, children from dozens of species learned together, while their parents worked side by side on projects that would benefit everyone. Danny Wright, the young Marine who had fought the Ridge Stalker, now served as a teacher. He showed alien children how to work with their hands, while they taught him about mathematics and art from their home worlds. "The important thing," he told his mixed class of human and alien students, "is that we're all different, and that makes you stronger. Your differences aren't weaknesses to overcome, they're strengths to celebrate." Dr. Hannah Brooks established the Galactic Rehabilitation Center, dedicated to helping oppressed species discover their true capabilities. The Korvaxi became renowned engineers. The Zephyrians developed new forms of art that used wind and storm as mediums. The Xentar shared invisibility technology that revolutionized exploration. "We're not trying to make everyone the same," she explained to visitors. "We're helping everyone become the best version of themselves." The galaxy had learned that strength didn't come from dominating others or maintaining rigid hierarchies. True strength came from cooperation, from lifting each other up, and from recognizing that diversity was a source of power, not weakness. As the Horizon disappeared into hyperspace on its first mission, carrying the hopes of 100 worlds with it, the age of human expansion had truly begun. But it wasn't expansion through conquest or colonization. It was expansion through friendship, partnership, and the simple belief that everyone deserved a chance to reach for the stars. The aliens had been stunned by the strength of the Deathworlders. But in the end, humanity's greatest strength wasn't their tough bodies or their clever tactics. It was their ability to see potential in others, and their willingness to share their strength with anyone who needed it. The galaxy would never be the same again, and that was exactly how humanity wanted it. News of the human victory at the galactic trials spread across the galaxy faster than the Federation could control it. On trading stations, in military bases, and on diplomatic vessels, beings whispered about the Deathworlders who had broken. Every record. Ambassador Carol Hughes found herself busier than she had ever been. Her office on the Federation space station New Harmony was always full of alien visitors. They came from dozens of different species, all wanting the same thing: trade agreements, defense contracts, and technology exchanges with Earth. "We offer premium metals for your construction techniques," said Trade Representative Wex Mila, a being that looked like a walking tree with silver bark. "Your humans built structures on the trial worlds that we thought were impossible." Carol smiled politely. "I'll pass your offer to our engineering corps." Before Wexmila could respond, another alien entered. This one was shaped like a large blue butterfly with 4 arms and compound eyes. "Ambassador Hughes," the butterfly being said in a musical voice, "I am Cultural Exchange Director Melandra from the Singing Worlds. We wish to learn your music and stories. In exchange, we offer knowledge of harmonic technologies." Carol's schedule was booked solid for the next 3 months. Every species in the Federation wanted something from humanity, but not everyone was happy about this sudden interest in Earth. Supreme General Vorthik paced in his command center on the military world of Fortress Prime. He was a Draknari, a species that looked like armored lizards walking on 2 legs. His people had been the Federation's military leaders for over 1,000 years. "This is unacceptable," he growled to his staff officers. "Deathworlders cannot be allowed to upset the natural order. If other species start thinking they can be strong too, it will cause chaos." War Minister Drexmel nodded agreement. He was even larger than Vorthik, with scales that were almost black. "We have kept the galaxy peaceful for centuries by maintaining proper hierarchy. Strong species lead, weak species follow. These humans threaten everything." But not all Federation leaders felt the same way. Progressive Council member Yelmyra argued for a different approach in the daily council meetings. "Perhaps our hierarchy was wrong from the beginning," she suggested. "Maybe we have been wasting the potential of countless species by assuming they were weak." "Dangerous thinking," Drexmel replied. "Order comes from knowing your place. If everyone thinks they can be equal, we will have war." Meanwhile, Major Chris Lee was discovering just how long the Federation had been watching Earth, working from a secure facility in the asteroid belt. He and his intelligence team had been studying captured Federation databases. "Look at this," he said to Captain Sandra Miller, his second in command. "They've had surveillance stations watching us for over 100 years." Sandra studied the star charts on her screen. These positions would give them perfect views of our entire solar system. "They've been recording everything: our wars, our technological development, even our entertainment broadcasts." But why wait so long to make contact? Chris wondered. The answer came from a classified Federation document that Sandra decrypted the next day. "They were waiting for us to weaken ourselves," she explained. "Their plan was to approach Earth after we had destroyed our environment or killed each other in wars. They thought we would be desperate for help." Chris felt anger rising in his chest. "They wanted us weak so we would be grateful for their protection." "It gets worse," Sandra said. "Look at this." She showed him records of other species that had requested permission to visit Earth. The Federation had denied every request. They had actively prevented first contact with dozens of civilizations. They were protecting their plan, Chris realized. They didn't want anyone else to discover what humans were really capable of. Dr. Hannah Brooks was making similar discoveries on the research station orbiting Jupiter. Working with a team of human and alien scientists, she had been studying the Federation's historical records about Deathworld species. "We're not the only ones," she announced to her team during their morning briefing. "There are 17 other Deathworld species in Federation space, and they've all been classified as limited capability, or requires supervision." Dr. Elthera, a friendly alien scientist with tentacles instead of arms, looked shocked. "But my people, the Kethmi, we were told the same thing about ourselves. Our world has crushing gravity and constant storms. We were made servants because we were supposedly too weak to govern ourselves." "What if you're not weak at all?" Hannah asked. "What if you're just as strong as humans, but nobody ever tested you properly?" The implications were staggering. If the Federation had been wrong about humanity, they might have been wrong about many other species too. Entire civilizations might have been enslaved or oppressed, based on false assumptions. Hannah began reaching out quietly to scientists from other Deathworld species. What she found confirmed her fears. The Korvaxi from the high-gravity world of Ralph Prime had been forced to work as laborers despite being incredibly intelligent. The Zephyrians from the storm world of Tempest had been banned from military service even though they were natural warriors. "We need to tell people about this," Dr. Elthera said. "My people deserve to know the truth." "We will," Hannah promised. "But we need to be careful. The Federation military won't like losing their servants." She was right to be cautious. In the depths of Fortress Prime, Supreme General Vorthik was meeting with his most trusted commanders. The room was dark, except for the glow of tactical displays showing Federation military positions throughout the galaxy. "The humans are dangerous enough on their own," Vorthik said. "But if they inspire other Deathworld species to rebel, we could face uprisings on dozens of worlds." Colonel Zethkar, a veteran of many campaigns, studied the strategic maps. "Our forces are spread thin maintaining order. If 17 Deathworld species all revolt at once—" "Exactly," Drexmal interrupted. "Which is why we must act now, while we still can. The Federation Council moves too slowly. By the time they decide what to do, it will be too late." "What do you propose?" asked General Baxter, commander of the Federation's largest fleet. Drexmal's eyes gleamed with cold light. "We eliminate the threat at its source. One surgical strike against Earth, and the Deathworld problem disappears forever. The Council will never approve an attack on Earth," Vorthik pointed out. "The Council doesn't need to know until it's over," Drexmal replied. "We tell them the humans attacked first. We say we were defending ourselves. By the time anyone can investigate, Earth will be lifeless rock, and the Deathworlders will remember their place." The plan was simple and brutal. A massive Federation fleet would jump to Earth's solar system and destroy the planet with planet-killer weapons. Any human ships that tried to interfere would be destroyed as well. The attack would happen so quickly that no one could respond in time. "When?" asked General Baxter. "1 week," Drexmal decided. "That gives us time to position our forces without arousing suspicion." But unknown to the military conspirators, their communications were being monitored. Captain Sandra Miller's intelligence network had been tracking Federation military communications for months. When she detected the massive fleet movements toward Earth, she immediately sent a coded message to Admiral Ryan Scott. "Sir, we have a problem," she transmitted. "Federation hardliners are planning a first strike against Earth. Estimated arrival time, 6 days." Ryan Scott received the message while touring the orbital shipyards above Earth. He looked out at the dozens of human ships under construction and felt a cold fear in his stomach. Earth's fleet was strong, but could it stand against the entire Federation military? "Sound General Alert," he ordered. All ships to defensive positions. Contact our allies and ask for support. Sir, we don't have enough allies to matter, pointed out his aide. Maybe not yet, Ryan said grimly. But we're about to find out who our real friends are. Across the galaxy, the stage was set for a confrontation that would determine humanity's future. The Federation military was coming with overwhelming force, determined to crush the Deathworlders before they could inspire others. But they had underestimated humanity once before. They were about to make the same mistake again on a much larger scale. The war for galactic freedom was about to begin. The Federation Council met in emergency session on their capital world of Centris Prime. High Coordinator Vexthal sat at the head of the great curved table, his purple skin darker than usual with worry. Around him sat the leaders of dozens of alien species, all watching the recordings from Kepler 442b. This cannot be real, declared Council Member Dexwara, her tentacles waving with anger. No Deathworld species could move like this. The footage must be fake. On the giant screen, they watched Danny Wright fight the Ridge Stalker. They saw Kevin Hayes and Maria Rodriguez move through dangerous terrain like it was a park. They witnessed humans working calmly in storms that sent their own soldiers running for cover. I have verified the recordings myself, said Technical Advisor Morgan. They are completely real. These humans did everything we see here. High Coordinator Vexthal made a decision that would change everything. We will test them properly. Send an invitation to the galactic trials. If they are truly this capable, they will prove it under official observation. The galactic trials happened once every 10 years. They were designed to test every aspect of a species: intelligence, strength, technology, and survival skills. No Deathworld species had ever been invited before. Admiral Ryan Scott received the invitation aboard Earth's newest ship, the Destiny. He was a veteran of many battles, with gray hair and steady hands. He had seen the reports from Kepler 442b and knew this was important. They want to test us, he told his senior staff. They still don't believe what they saw. Captain Alex Turner volunteered to lead Earth's team. He was young but experienced, having served on 3 different ships. His calm manner made other people trust him quickly. Who do we bring? Alex asked. Our best people, Ryan replied. But remember, they need to be good at everything: fighting, thinking, fixing problems, and surviving. The team that went to the trials included some of Earth's finest. Staff Sergeant Tony Clark was an explosives expert who could build or destroy almost anything. Lieutenant Colonel Beth Martinez was a pilot who could fly through storms that grounded other aircraft. Engineer Sam Miller could fix machines that other people couldn't even understand. Marine Gunnery Sergeant Rick Anderson was chosen for the physical challenges. He was built like a tank and had never met an obstacle he couldn't overcome. But he was also smart and could think quickly under pressure. The trials took place on 5 different worlds, each designed to challenge a different skill. The first world tested intelligence and problem-solving. Ancient machines waited to be repaired, puzzles needed to be solved, and complex mathematical problems required answers. Sam Miller looked at the first challenge, a massive computer system that had been broken for 50 years. Federation scientists had been trying to fix it all that time. What does it do? Sam asked. It controls the weather on agricultural worlds, explained Federation observer Lexandra. When it works, it can prevent droughts and floods across an entire planet. Sam studied the machine for an hour. Then he opened his toolkit and got to work. The aliens watched in amazement as he bypassed damaged circuits, replaced broken components, and rewired entire sections. How do you know what to do? Asked Lexandra. Our best engineers have studied this for decades. I grew up fixing farm equipment, Sam replied, not looking up from his work. Machines are machines. They all worked the same basic way. 6 hours. Later, the ancient computer hummed back to life. Weather control systems came online across 12 different worlds. The Federation scientists stared in shock that the second world tested physical capabilities. Obstacle courses that normally required powered armor waited for the challengers. Weights that took teams of aliens to lift sat ready for testing. Rick Anderson stepped up to the first challenge. He had to carry a heavy load up a steep mountain, while wearing a breathing mask that limited his air supply. "This usually takes our soldiers 8 hours," said the Federation instructor. "The record time is 6 hours and 12 minutes. Rick finished in 3 hours and 27 minutes. He wasn't even breathing hard when he reached the top." "How?" the instructor asked. "I grew up in Colorado," Rick replied. "Mountains don't scare me." The third world tested technology and adaptation. Broken vehicles needed to be repaired with limited tools. Communication systems had to be rebuilt from spare parts. Navigation equipment required complex adjustments to work in alien environments. Beth Martinez found herself facing a crashed shuttle that needed to fly again. She had never seen this type of aircraft before, but she understood how flying machines worked. "The power coupling is burned out," she told the Federation observers. "The navigation computer is fried, and the landing gear won't retract. Can you fix it?" "Give me a day," Beth said. She worked through the night, replacing damaged parts with pieces from other machines. She rewired the navigation system using her knowledge of Earth aircraft. When she was done, the shuttle flew better than it had when it was new. The fourth world tested survival in extreme environments. Deserts with poisonous air, frozen wastelands with deadly storms, and jungles filled with creatures that hunted in packs. The human team moved through each environment like they belonged there. They found water where others saw only sand. They built shelters that kept them warm in impossible cold. They avoided predators that the aliens couldn't even detect. "This is impossible," muttered Federation Military Commander Kefsal. "Death. Worlders are supposed to struggle just to stay alive. These humans make it look easy." Tony Clark demonstrated his skills by building explosives from local materials. When a rockslide blocked their path, he cleared it with a perfectly controlled blast that didn't hurt anyone nearby. "Where did you learn to do that?" asked an alien observer. "My dad was a miner," Tony explained. "He taught me that explosives are tools, not weapons. Use them right, and they solve problems instead of creating them." The final world tested leadership and cooperation. Mixed teams of humans and aliens had to work together to complete complex missions. This was where the Federation expected humans to fail. They thought Deathworlders would be too aggressive and violent to work with others. Instead, Alex Turner surprised everyone by his ability to bring different species together. He listened to alien ideas, found ways to use everyone's strengths, and solved problems through cooperation instead of force. "Your species is remarkable," said Lexandra on the last day. "You excel at everything we test, but I don't understand how this is possible." Alex sat with her under the alien stars. "Think about where we come from. Earth doesn't just try to kill us. It teaches us. Every storm makes us stronger. Every earthquake teaches us to build better. Every predator makes you smarter. But Deathworlds are supposed to be too harsh for complex life." "Maybe," Alex said. "Or maybe they're exactly what's needed to create life that can survive anywhere." Word of the human performance spread throughout the Federation despite official attempts to keep it quiet. Species that had never heard of Earth suddenly wanted to know more about these Deathworlders. Federation observer Lexandra filed her report with growing excitement and fear. She had witnessed something that changed everything she thought she knew about the galaxy. "The humans didn't just pass the trials," she wrote. "They broke records that have stood for centuries. They solved problems we thought were impossible. They demonstrated capabilities we didn't know existed. She paused before writing the final line. I believe we have made first contact with a species that will transform the galaxy forever. High Coordinator Vexthal read the report 3 times. Around him, the Federation Council argued about what to do next. Some wanted to welcome humanity as equals. Others feared what Deathworlders might do if they spread throughout the galaxy. Deep in the Federation's military headquarters, War Minister Drexmal was making different plans. If Deathworlders were this dangerous, then they needed to be stopped before they could threaten the existing order. The age of human expansion was about to begin, whether the galaxy was ready or not. 3 weeks later, the Federation sent another message to Earth. They wanted to do joint training exercises with human military forces. Captain Lisa Stone read the message while standing on the bridge of the Earthship Valor. They want to show. Use how real soldiers fight, she told her team. Lisa was a Marine captain with 20 years of service. She had fought in jungles, deserts, and frozen mountains. Her squad trusted her completely. Sergeant Kevin Hayes looked at the planet where the training would happen. Kepler 442b appeared on the main screen, a world with thick forests, high gravity, and dangerous animals. Looks like fun, he said with a grin. Corporal Maria Rodriguez checked her equipment. She was small but tough, with quick reflexes and perfect aim. The aliens think this place is dangerous. Should we tell them about the time we trained in Alaska during winter? Let them find out for themselves, Lisa replied. The joint exercise began the next morning. Federation Captain Valtar led his troops onto the planet's surface. His soldiers wore heavy armor and carried energy weapons that hummed with power. They moved slowly and carefully. The human Marines wore simple combat gear and carried basic rifles. They looked relaxed as they stepped onto the alien world. The gravity here is 1.3 times Earth normal, announced Federation Science Officer Keplon. The atmosphere has dangerous gases. The wildlife is extremely hostile. We will move carefully and stay in formation. Kevin Hayes tested the gravity by jumping up and down. Feels about the same as carrying a heavy pack, he said to Maria. The aliens started their demonstration. They showed the humans how to use special sensors to detect enemies. They explained how their energy shields could protect against animal attacks. They moved in perfect formation, following procedures that had been developed over thousands of years. The humans watched politely and asked good questions. But Lisa noticed that her Marines were getting restless. This was too easy for them. Perhaps the humans could try a simple patrol, suggested Captain Valtar. We will observe and offer guidance. Lisa nodded to her team. Kevin took point, moving through the thick forest like he had been born there. Maria covered the flanks, her eyes constantly scanning for threats. The other Marines spread out in a pattern that gave them the best view of their surroundings. The aliens struggled to keep up. Their heavy armor made noise as they moved. They had to stop every few minutes to catch their breath. The high gravity was wearing them out quickly. Slow down, called Veltar. You're moving too fast. This is dangerous terrain. Kevin stopped and waited. He wasn't even breathing hard. Sorry, sir. We'll take it easy. 2 hours into the patrol, something went wrong. A creature the size of a small truck crashed through the trees. It had 6 legs, sharp claws, and teeth like knives. The aliens called it a ridge stalker, one of the most dangerous predators on the planet. The Federation soldiers froze in terror. Their weapons were still on their backs. Their training had not prepared them for something this big and fast. Private Danny Wright was the closest human to the creature. He was 19 years old and had only been in the Marines for 2 years. Without thinking, he raised his rifle and started shooting. The ridge stalker roared and charged at Danny. He rolled to the side, still firing. His bullets found their mark, but the creature kept coming. "Danny, get back!" Lisa shouted, but Danny stood his ground. He had grown up hunting deer and bears in Montana. This was just a bigger animal. He aimed for the creature's eyes and squeezed the trigger. The ridge stalker stumbled and fell. Danny kept shooting until it stopped moving. Aliens stared in shock. One of their soldiers had been knocked down when the creature first appeared. He was bleeding from cuts on his arm and leg. Sergeant Claire Thompson ran to help the wounded alien. She was the team's medic, a calm woman who had saved dozens of lives in combat. She quickly cleaned the wounds and applied bandages. "You'll be fine," she told the alien soldier. "These cuts are not deep." Captain Veltar couldn't believe what he had seen. That human fought the ridge stalker alone. How is he still alive? "Danny did what he was trained to do," Lisa explained. "We don't freeze when things get dangerous. We act." The Federation officer looked at the dead creature. It weighed over 800 pounds. Its claws were as long as his hand. Our weapons barely hurt these things. How did his small rifle kill it? Maria Rodriguez picked up one of Danny's bullets from the ground. "We use heavy rounds that can punch through thick hide. Our weapons are designed to stop anything we might face." The training exercise continued for 3 more days. Each day, the humans impressed the aliens more. They moved faster, fought better, and adapted quicker than anyone had expected. When a sudden storm hit the camp, the aliens huddled in their shelters and waited for it to pass. The humans kept working. They secured equipment, repaired damaged gear, and helped alien soldiers who were scared by the thunder and lightning. Sergeant Kevin Hayes found Captain Veltar sitting alone in his shelter. The alien officer looked confused and worried. "Is everything okay, sir?" Kevin asked. "I don't understand," Veltar replied. "Your species comes from a death world. You should be weak from the constant struggle to survive. But you are stronger than us in every way." Kevin sat down next to the alien. "Maybe that's exactly why we're strong. Earth taught us to be tough. Every day there was something trying to kill us. Weather, animals, diseases, earthquakes. We had to get strong or die. But the Federation has studied death worlds for centuries. A theory says that hostile environments produce weak species." "Your theory is wrong," Kevin said gently. "Hard times don't make you weak. They make you strong." Dr. Nenia Foster, Earth's chief scientist on the mission, was reaching the same conclusion. She had been studying the aliens and their technology. They were advanced in many ways, but they were also soft. They came from easy worlds where everything was provided for them. Federation military advisor Kethmer was writing reports that his leaders would never believe. He described humans who could fight creatures that terrified his soldiers. He wrote about people who worked through storms that sent his troops running for cover. On the last day of the exercise, Lisa Stone gathered both teams together. "We've learned a lot from each other," she said. "You've shown us technology we never imagined. We hope we've shown you something useful too." Captain Veltar nodded slowly. "You have taught us that we know very little about Death World species. We will need to study this more." As the ships prepared to leave Kepler 442b, the aliens were quiet. They had come to teach primitive humans about warfare. Instead, they had learned that their understanding of the galaxy was completely wrong. The humans were also quiet, but for different reasons. They were starting to realize that the galaxy might be full of species who had been underestimated just like them. The universe was about to become a much more interesting place. The silver ship moved slowly through the dark space near Earth. Captain Zexhai looked at the blue planet through the main screen of his ship, the Serenity's edge. His 4 arms moved over the control panels as he checked the readings again. "Such a violent world," he said to his crew. His voice made a soft buzzing sound, like all members of his race, the Valerians. "Look at those storms. See how the land breaks apart. This planet tries to kill everything on it. Science Officer Mordax nodded his large head. His skin was gray and smooth, with no hair anywhere. The reports are correct, Captain. This world has earthquakes, floods, fires, and terrible weather. The creatures that live here must be very weak from fighting just to stay alive. Ambassador Quintal stepped forward. She was taller than the others, with long, thin arms that reached almost to the floor. The Federation has watched these humans. For many years, they fight each other constantly. They poison their own air and water. They are clearly not ready to join the galaxy as equals. Zexhai agreed. The Galactic Federation had rules about species like this. Worlds that were too dangerous usually produced beings that were barely able to survive. These Deathworld species needed protection and guidance from more advanced races. Send the message, Zexhai ordered. Tell them we come in peace. Offer them the chance to join the Federation as a protected species. Far above Earth, the human ship Aurora received the alien message. Commander Jake Morrison sat in his captain's chair, reading the translation on his screen. He was a big man with short brown hair and strong hands. Years of military service had made him tough and careful. "They want to talk," he said to his crew, "but listen to this. They're offering to protect us. They think we need their help to survive in space." Lieutenant Amy Davis looked up from her science station. She was young with bright eyes and quick hands that never stopped moving over her controls. "Commander, I've been studying their ship. It's big, but their engines are old. We could probably outrun them if we needed to." "They don't know that," Jake said with a small smile. "Let's see what they want to say." The meeting was set for the next day in empty space between Earth and the Moon. Both ships would send small shuttles with their leaders inside. When Jake saw the aliens for the first time, he was surprised by how thin and delicate they looked. Captain Zexhai was taller than most humans, but seemed like he might break if someone shook his hand too hard. The other aliens were the same, tall but weak-looking. "Welcome, humans," Zexhai said through a translation device. "We are here to help you join the galaxy. Your world is very dangerous. Your species must have suffered greatly just to survive." Jake tried not to laugh. Earth was dangerous? He had grown up in Colorado, where he learned to ski down mountains and camp in winter storms. He had served in deserts and jungles that would probably kill these aliens in minutes. "We appreciate your offer," Jake said politely, "but we're doing fine on our own." Ambassador Quintal stepped forward. "You misunderstand. Your world is what we call a death world. The radiation from your sun, the heavy gravity, the violent weather, these things make life very hard. You have done well to develop basic space travel, but you need our protection to go further." Amy Davis whispered something to Jake. She had been watching how the aliens moved. They seemed tired just from walking around in Earth-normal gravity. Their skin looked pale under the lights, like they had never seen real sunlight. "Perhaps we could do a small test," Jake suggested, "to show you what humans can do." He walked over to a heavy metal case that contained gift items from Earth. The case weighed about 60 pounds. Jake picked it up with one hand like it was nothing and carried it to the aliens. 3 of the aliens had to work together to lift the same case. They struggled and made soft groaning sounds. Sweat appeared on their smooth skin. Zexhai stared at Jake. "How did you do that so easily?" "It's not heavy," Jake said. He was starting to understand something important. These aliens thought Earth was a death world because they were weak, not because humans were strong. Mordax was taking readings with a small device. "Captain, his muscle density is incredible. His bone structure is 3 times stronger than ours. And look at his cardiovascular system. It's built for high performance." "Impossible," Quintal said. Deathworld species are supposed to be weak from constant struggle. Amy stepped forward. Maybe you have it backwards. Maybe living on a hard world makes us stronger, not weaker. The aliens looked at each other with confusion and growing fear. They had come here expecting to find desperate survivors who would be grateful for help. Instead, they had found something they didn't understand, a species that had become powerful because of their harsh world. Not in spite of it. As the meeting ended, Zexhi's crew was quiet on the trip back to their ship. They had recorded everything and would send reports to the Federation. But they all knew that their leaders would not believe what they had seen. Jake watched the alien shuttle leave. Amy, what do you think they'll do now? They'll probably want to test us more, she replied. They can't believe that Deathworlders could be strong. It goes against everything they think they know. Jake nodded. Then we better be ready to show them exactly what humans can do. The Aurora turned and headed back to Earth. In the distance, the Serenity's Edge prepared for the long journey home. Neither crew knew that this first meeting would change everything in the galaxy. The age of human strength was about to begin.